Hey and welcome to new series Fitness After 50 Part 2. So last week I started talking with Gabrielle about her struggles fixing muscle imbalances, knee pain, and while also losing weight while staying motivated. And today's Part 2 we are continuing talking about very common struggles, how to fix muscle imbalances, how to stay motivated when you don't feel like it. All that with the amazing Gabrielle, who actually was one of the lucky winners who won 3 months of one-on-one coaching, and now after 3 months this is where she got, and she's at a very good point as she won't need coach anymore in her life. So enjoy, and let's get into episode.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle. I'm 54 years old and I live in Alberta, Canada. I found you on Instagram about 4 years ago when I started my fitness journey to get healthier as I age, because I suddenly realized it was quite important. I really appreciated your non-shaming methods of delivering valuable information that I've used over the last 3.5, 4 years of my journey. The goal I'm trying to reach in training with you is to be my strongest self. I want to have strong muscles and I want to have a strong heart. As I age, I realize this is going to be more and more important, especially if I want to be independent for as long as possible. I feel like muscle strength and heart health are crucial to this, and I feel like you can help me with that. The reason I applied for this coaching with you is because I had been doing my own thing by reading articles and watching YouTube videos and trying to learn on my own. And I felt like I was missing, or rather, I was hoping that someone could look at my exercise routine and just make some tweaks to make sure that I was targeting all the muscles in my body, to make sure that I was doing the right thing cardio-wise. That was my original intention. Since then, things have changed for the better. My relationship with food is that I love to eat. I love food, and I love to eat a lot of food. I find food not just comforting, but it's a way for people to connect. And for me, it's also learning about different cultures. So I love to explore different foods. I love to meet people from other countries, ask them about their food, give me recipes. That's my relationship with food. I love food. My dieting history, there isn't much of one. I've never felt it right for me to do things like the Atkins diet or keto or low carb. I'm very much, always have been, a person who believes in balance. And so a little bit of everything is important for your body. There's all sorts of things that different foods can give you. This is my opinion. So anytime I felt I needed to lose pounds, I would just eat less, right? Before it was a buzzword, I used lower caloric intake, but it was just by smaller portions. And it was never fun because you're always hungry. But, that's all I knew then. I know differently now.
So today's episode, I have a guest, Gabrielle. Little background about Gabrielle. Won in December 3 months of coaching, and now I'm curious to know what have happened and what kind of progress Gabrielle have made. So first of all, thank you for doing this with me, Gabrielle. And if you don't mind, a little bit telling the people who you are, where you live, how old are you, what you are doing. And let's get started with that.
Sure. Okay. Sure. Thank you. So I live in Canada. I've lived in Canada most of my life. I'm 54 years old and I live a pretty sedentary lifestyle. I work from home at my computer all day. I'm not a big fan of exercise. I never have been, but I've been active with the kids when I was younger. And then when they left home, I fell into depression. We lost our dog in September. Mm-hmm. He used to take the dog out all the time.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, when you have a dog, that's the contract you're in. You know that your dog is going to go before you. Yeah. Ever since we lost the dog, my husband has not gone on walks, and he's been more mentally sad, and he's gained weight, and he knows he has to change, and we're considering another dog and everything. But his something is walking the dog. Mm-hmm. My something is doing weights. Mm-hmm. Do something, anything. So I see people dance. They love to dance. So they dance and they lose all. Great, anything. But it has to be part of your life. You have to make it a part of your life.
Absolutely. No, this is, I'm first of all sorry to hear about your dog, but as these are things that might happen, and if you know, like that you have that kind of accountability partner, it could be your dog, it could be if you have a program, whatever promises you make to yourself, if you go to dance class once in a week, like something what keeps you going. And as you mentioned, like now coming from COVID, like it's not at this point, it's you have it recently. So this is always like a kind of part like that when it's the right time to start, what you should be doing. But it's not about like, if you ask like doctors or something, they say that just rest, don't do anything. And I respect all doctors and with advices, but what I say that if you, like you mentioned, do for stretching, do for mobility exercises. If you start to feel better, it's not about completing your whole hour workout,
right,
but just do maybe 1-2 exercises, do one set, try to see how it feels. And instead of doing all 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, do one set. And that was for myself and for many of my clients, especially after having a COVID, it's just, you don't need to do whole workout, just get started and prove the point for yourself that you are back on it. And then hopefully you see next day, because it's very easy to go kind of too hard in the beginning. And then you feel like day after, like that, wow, holy shit, that was probably a bit too much. So it doesn't help you. But if you do what feels like that, as soon as you start to feel like that now it's getting too much, then stop it. And you are, and then say that, okay, we will see how I feel tomorrow, how it makes me feel. And then if you are okay, then repeat it tomorrow or day after tomorrow, and really taking that time and going step by step, coming back to, like, especially because it's COVID is something what you should take really seriously and not underestimate, because there are so many people who are struggling years after that. So you never know what is going on. It's a new disease, so there is not a lot of research what says that what you should be doing. So it's really only all about like listening your body and learning to listen, and not only your mind to say that now I need to get back on it and do full workout.
Well, that's actually a very good point, and something that you also taught me is that you don't need to finish the workout. There is a mindset of, okay, I'm going to do this from beginning to end. Same with the dishes. There are times where I'm doing the dishes and I'm like, I don't feel like doing the pots and pans, right? And so you stop, because otherwise you're going to really hate it, right? And then you go back an hour later or the next morning. The world has not stopped spinning.
No.
So, and then so I found, even when I worked out on your schedule, even just putting my workout clothes and going into my workout room, even if you do that, right? I know that's minimal, but just do that. Show up. Because then once you're there, you're like, well, you know what? While I'm here, I might as well do a set of biceps. So you do a set of biceps. And then you're like, well, I can probably also do a couple squats. Right? And then stop when you really can't anymore. Fine. But you'll find yourself slowly being like, I could. There's no reason why not. Right? Sometimes I think to myself, what else are you going to do, Gabrielle? What else? If you don't do this, what are you going to do? Sit on your couch and watch TV? Does that seem really good? Right? And then you sort of be like, oh, okay. Maybe I will just keep going.
It is really proving that point for your keeping promises what you make to yourself. And if you can't keep promises what you make to yourself, then it's time to adjust those promises what you promise to yourself, because it doesn't matter like what is in the long term, as you know, what is better. Even you do a little bit less but stay consistent, or you do perfectly for a month and then you find something happens in a life, as often happens, and then you say that you can't do anything. So so it's really, that's why that consistency, it's hard to accept, but it's the honest truth that it matters a lot more than following a plan perfectly, because it's like, you know, it's so easy to talk ourselves out of it and tell that this week it just doesn't work out. So this is I use for myself too, that either I have to make the decision on Sunday week before, that if this week, if it really that there is nothing, like I ask that if I can't do anything, what can I do? And if the amount of exercise is going to be 3 times 10 minutes, then let it be that for the upcoming week when it's that kind of week. But I keep that promise. And if it's not, if that is not, because it's, if you go day by day, it's always so easy to find like something happens. There is happening some emergency in a work or whatever. So, then you end up like that, where you are cutting the time. It's from your own health, and that how it's going to end up.
Yeah.
So,
and having a motivator. I'm just one more thing. I have a motivator in my exercise room. So I'll put my exercise clothes on. I'll go in the room and think, I don't think I'm going to do much. And then I have a board of my daughter's pictures.
Oh, wow.
And that's enough to make me
that's amazing.
Work out, because I look at them and I think, I got to do better for these girls.
Yeah, no, this is, I'm exactly my motivation. Like my story is, I lost my dad earlier, like he was only 70, and I have every day when I don't feel like working out, I look at his picture, and that gets me going. That gets me started. It's not always perfect, but having that that's why I wanted to address, and because I really love the way how you are doing it. What is your that kind of deeper why you are actually doing it? What is because if that pain or that fear or whatever there is underlying, what is your motivation of doing those hard things is greater than that pain of actually doing that exercise, then you have a very good chances actually staying consistent.
Right.
And if you do even those are great goals, like kind of aesthetic goals, like you mentioned, getting more defined muscles or something, but they are not that deep pain or something like, if you are if you want to get the visible abs or for some younger, like we don't aim for those things anymore, but maybe some younger one is aiming for summer abs for next summer. And then, you are like, or more defined muscles.
Yeah.
That is never going to be that big motivator that you stay consistent, or for most of the people, especially older people, it's not going to be that big motivator to stay consistent and doing those hard things.
Right.
So just in the end, before we wrap this episode, wanted to ask you, because you mentioned in some emails or messages what I got from you, that you were kind of thinking that what am I going to get? Like you won 3 months, cool, maybe I keep doing what I do, but what were kind of your expectations, and what did you end up getting?
Well, like I said, I expected, partly because of my own, not just stubbornness, but thinking that I knew what I was doing, because I'd been researching, exercise and everything and nutrition for 2 years. I expected that I would just get out of you something like, here, I would give you my workout schedule. You would look at it and go, and maybe tweak a few things, because I was worried that I wasn't targeting all my muscles. I like balance, right? Balance is important to me. So was I doing too much for my chest and not enough for my triceps? Was I doing too much, not enough this, not enough that? And then I expected, maybe getting an email from you, I don't know, once a week, just like an encouraging email, or just an email, hey, how's it going? And that's it. Like I didn't expect very much. When you get free things, you can't expect that you would get the same as you get when you pay for them. However, that's not what happened. You really got involved in my life, workout life, my exercise life. You also asked about my personal life, because you want to see where my mental state is. You got to know me. You got to know that I'm stubborn. You got to know how to work around me, you sneaky devil. And you and you gave me so much more information than I ever I had no idea. I understood macros more or less. I had no idea about the protein ratio, which is hugely important, and it has completely changed how I eat. Even though I thought I ate enough protein, even though I eat relatively healthy, or I understand what healthy means, eating healthy, I have changed, and it hasn't been hard to change. And that's the important part, because when it's hard to change, you're not going to do it, right? Yeah. And it's just a matter of learning this. A chunk of meat, a hamburger, has lots of protein and also lots of calories. There's the problem. So if you're trying to stay within a range of calories, and you think a hamburger is going to help you get your protein, you're right, but you're not going to stay within your range of calories. And that was a game changer for me. Right? A game changer. So now I have to apply it to other aspects like fiber. I know I'm not getting enough fiber. I eat too much fat. I eat a lot of, butter, and I'm okay with it. If I stay within my calories, I'm okay and you're okay with it. And that was huge. That was important because I don't want to changing my life to not have as much fat as I have would be too much. But I'm able to do it within the calories and within the protein. Great. And you're like, great, perfect, right? So that was important. That you gave me that, and that's amazing. You taught me about the importance of mobility exercises, even though I resisted you hard on those, because I love my stretching, and I still do my stretching because I love it. I love how it feels. But I also incorporated mobility into, and that was hard too because I thought, well, I don't have time. Now I got to do stretching, I got to do exercise, and like I said, you got around me by saying, why don't you just do it in between your sets? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it's just the ways to get you doing things what you need to do. Like mobility is as you mentioned, it's such an easy way. It obviously, and it's, if you think like I have talked with so many people about like there are like 1,000 things you should be doing. It takes 1 or 2 minutes per day, but I said, okay, if you do anyway, you gotta do some kind of warm up. Why you don't include 1, 2 mobility exercises? If you have rest time between the sets, do 1 mobility exercise just for 30 seconds there and maybe a little bit later, or doing part of your cool down or whatever you are already doing. Like it's like, for example, easiest way, like for example, wrist mobility. I see so many, especially women struggling with wrist mobility. Do it if you have some kind of habit, what you already have, like you brush your teeth hopefully every single day.
Right.
It's easiest way to add it before, like, okay, it's just to remember doing it, like do it for 30 seconds before you brush your teeth, and then you are done for the day, and you will see huge benefits of doing it. And as is mobility is like that, it's a good thing is that you don't need to do, it's not a workout you need to do for 30 minutes or 60 minutes. It's a good mobility workout is, let's say, 1 to 10 minutes, and that you repeat consistently and more often. Like if you include that 1-2 minute mobility work for part of your warm up before your workout, there are big chances that you don't need to do it anything more.
And that's the key. We always feel like we have to do something from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So and actually the mobility testings that you sent showed me where I failed. So those are the ones I have to focus on. I do the others when I have time, when I remember. But the ones I've incorporated are my shoulder and my toes. All the other ones I'm fine, but I might as well keep them fine once in a while.
No, absolutely. And this is the right way to do it. Like if you have somewhere you are failing, well, first of all, the key is to recognize where you are lacking of mobility, because it's very hard. Like if you mentioned that you have knee issues, maybe it's coming from your toes, maybe it's from your ankles. But when you know that, okay, this is area where I need to work, and then start to implement those things into your routine, and wow, suddenly you will recognize that you don't actually have that pain anymore.
Right. And it doesn't have to be beginning to end. It can just be one.
Yeah, exactly.
One exercise here or there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So looking ahead, what goals are aspirations when you are going to continue? I know that you are not going to quit. You are not going to go anywhere with your fitness journey. So what goals you have for future?
I want to continue building my muscle, and it's more important now after COVID. I realized that COVID attacked my musculoskeletal aspect of my body. Like there's some nerve damage. I have tinnitus now, like long COVID tinnitus from the last time in October that I got it. So there's still inflammation. I need to build the muscle more, partly out of vanity to see more muscle definition, because I like the amount that I got so far. And partly because if I get sick again, if I get sick, and I can't work out for several weeks, I'm going to lose some. So I want to get to a level where if I lose some, it's not as mentally damaging, right? Because if you work so hard and then you get sick and then you lose your muscle, you lose the motivation, right? Yeah. So building muscle, I can't do cardio yet. So that it actually works out because that allows me to focus on the muscle. And then once I get the muscle to a certain level, and I don't know what level that is yet, but once I get the muscle to a certain level, then I will, like you said, do my maintenance on my muscle, because then it's easier, right? It doesn't tire me out as much. And then I can focus on doing some more cardio so that my heart health is good.
Awesome. Just before that losing muscle mass, I want to address that before we stop. So it's something what obviously we are really scared of it. But there is a good thing or bad thing first with the building muscle. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. Obviously, if you are someone who is starting brand new, haven't worked out for months, it's relatively easy. You get amazing results for the first, let's say, 3 to 6 months. But then after that, the process is getting slower. And then you need to kind of use those advanced strategies to make it like looking how many reps, how many sets, to do rest time, different kind of programs, making sure you are eating in a proper way. So it gets harder. So that's why you need to do those things. But then good news is that it also takes a lot of time to lose it. So it's and it doesn't like even you are not, let's say that for some reason you can't work out for 3 months, 4 months. If you think how much progress you have made within 3 months, it's not going to be amazing progress. You might gain a little bit, but you are not it's going same way on the upper side. So you are not losing it. And then even in the worst case, even you end up losing muscle mass, is that you have still that muscle memory. And it means that you are basically, your body remembers where you have been at some point of your life. So for me personally, I was professional ice hockey player earlier. I didn't do any strength training for a decade and started doing it. And it was so devastating to get started and see that, you remember very well how much weight you used at some point. I was in my 20s, 30s doing 200 kilo squats. And then now starting with the 50 kilos, and I could barely do 10 repetitions. And I was like that. And after that, doing like 10 repetitions with 50 kilos, couldn't walk for a week. And I was like, that this is embarrassing. I have lost everything. But then when you start doing it, it took it was pretty much like, I would say 3 months. I was close, pretty close to levels I was earlier. So it's coming relatively quick back. So even obviously then to make progress from the point where you have been, but to get that level back where you have been at some point of your life, it's relatively easy. But then obviously going everything above, it takes a lot of time and effort. But for most people, they just overcomplicate way too much, or having that kind of fear of losing that progress that you have worked so hard, and now you got COVID, you can't work out for a month, and now you are thinking like that for whole work what I did for a year or past 2 years, it's gone. So it's definitely not, and just don't, until you get back on it, you haven't lost anything. And even in the worst case, you have lost a bit in a period of couple months, you get it relatively easy back.
Sure. Okay. Well, that's good to know. Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you so much for coming here. If there's anything you want to share about, if somebody want to write you, contact you, feel free to share. I don't know if you have some public Instagram profile or something. I know maybe somebody want to contact you, write you. If you have anything you want to share, feel free to do it.
Can they do it through you first?
Yeah, for sure.
If they have questions, and then I'll consider it. I don't have anything public, just because I've taught my daughters to be careful on the internet, and so I have to practice being careful as well. But I'm happy. I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah, if someone have any questions, you can email me turo@fitmeturo.com. I will forward them to Gabrielle, and for anything else, thank you for listening, and thank you, Gabrielle, for your hard work for the past 3 months. I hope you are proud of yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much for everything you've done. It was so much more than I expected.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.